the pirates, and the bounty hunters. "Damn, they've been here for a short while and it's already on the upswing," Air Farce remarks as he drives the entire team through Mainport City towards the meeting place in the shadow of what was once the home of the Vex crime family. "I'm seeing people removing boards from their windows to let the light in. If that's not high praise, I don't know what is." J3 notes as they pull into the parking lot of a large building with what looks like a road hockey arena to its side. "Hey, over here!" a voice calls out as they exit the car. Jake walks up to them with a big smile on his face. "What do you guys think? My little dream for the slums I called home is coming to life here on Vutsa." He explains, and there's some appreciative nodding. "It's not every day you get to see urban renewal in real time." Pukey remarks. "But that's not what we're here for. It's time for some strategy," he says, and Jake nods. "This way, we've finished interviews for the staff here, and it's just us. We've got an entertainment center that makes a great closed-circuit strategy room." "What is this place for anyways?" Air Farce asks after locking up the air van and removing a part of its ignition. His little extra insurance just in case someone gets grabby. "A community center for the youth. These things will help stop new gangs from forming once we're done with our current ones. We've got a pretty smart setup. They're little fobs to turn on the machines or rent equipment. Keeps track of who's doing what. If you're registered as doing well in school or with a job, then you get bonus credits to let you play longer. A bit of bribery that lets us keep track of who's where and keep people out of trouble." He explains as he leads them through an arcade that has only about half the machines working. "It's just a YMCA mixed with an arcade. But still, it's a start." "A hell of a start. Don't be down on yourself. You're doing wonderful work," Mr. T says and gets a wide smile in return. "All right, here we are," Jake says, opening the door. Every boy from the Claw, its higher-up security officers, Captain Lilpaw, and Mari Horny are already waiting in the room, and there are friendly smiles and waves. "A full house," Pukey says warily. "Commander Schmidt, I'm Commander Brent. This here is Captain Agenda Lilpaw, her head of security and commanding officer of the assault squads, Mercy and Jin, respectively. Finally, this is Mari Horny, a local informant with a friendly history with Captain Lilpaw. She's given us an enormous amount of valuable intel as well as her complete cooperation," Miles says, and Pukey relaxes. Everyone settles into the room and the holo projector activates, displaying a full color globe of Vusa 5. "All right, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our little planning powwow. We've got a long list of targets ranging from monsters to maniacs to full-on military encampments. All of it must go, but prioritization is always important, so first we identify the biggest targets." Miles begins as no less than 15 points light up on the map in white. Each one has a tag: monsters, thieves, airbikers ×2, slave camp ×5, drug lord, serial killer, boat gang ×2, organ harvesters, kidnappers, Sky Raider Fortress, multiple petty thieves, Thunder Thought, Butcher Bitch, Scorchin' Family Headquarters, Lin Clan Compound. "That is a lot of work to do. We may need an army," Pukey remarks as he scans the threats. Some of them are very close to their current position, though what Butcher Bitch means is a bit beyond him and going to need some explanation. "We've got an army. Captain Lilpaw's army of hardened pirates that specialize in boarding action in powerful mech suits. Agenda?" Miles answers before nodding to his mate. "Mari and I have been talking. It turns out that a lot Big Mama's stable have routine customers in both the Scorchin' family and Lin clan. We've spoken to them and they're willing to turn traitor for us. We should be able to establish a coup in both major families and take control of the majority of their women and their material assets. We just need some eyes on the plan and backup in case things go wrong. Bike, that's your show. Go over the plans, get on the band waves, and make sure that both organizations die with a whimper, not a bang." Pukey orders and Bike nods. "Ja, mein Kapitan," Bike responds as he begins considering all the intricacies of the event. "Any questions so far?" Miles asks, and Pukey raises his hand. "Yes?" "The targets mostly speak for themselves, but targets Butcher Bitch and Thunder Thought are not so clear. What are they?" he asks. "Those are mine," Franklin says. "They're both extremely powerful Axiom adepts that have both fallen into disgusting obsessions." He continues standing up and pressing a few buttons on his communicator. The globe shrinks and moves to the side to show a rotating image of a rail-thin, shaggy brown furred Lopen woman with a black bob of hair, unnaturally long claws, and a demented smile on her face. This is who I call Butcher Bitch. Her name is Yvette Carbon. She's 62 years old and has slaughtered nearly 3,000 people using various cutting implements and axiom techniques to make a cutting edge. She's an unrepentant sadist and madwoman who in the last 10 years has added another level of depravity to her cutting fetish. I will not be showing the images I've found of her sickening acts, but she's been using axiom to stitch beings back together in formations and shapes that could not exist in any form of nature, or any being with an iota of compassion in their soul would let another being suffer in. She and Thunder Thought are completely indiscriminate in their targets: babies, pregnant mothers, little boys and girls, the elderly. It does not matter. If you're alive or dead, you're a target. The 20 miles around their known haunts are effectively no man's lands on the planet. He explains as everyone gets a good look at her. He fiddles with his communicator. A new image replaces the one of Butcher Bitch. The image of a Hydra woman, a Lidris, appears. 12 voluptuous but bald and wild-eyed Nagasha, all bursting from a central torso and enormous conjoined finned tail that keeps itself upright with a massive pair of webbed claws. Each of them is trailing sparks from their unnaturally wide mouths as huge gills open up on the conjoined tail just behind the enormous clawed legs to help with breathing. There is a scale to the side, putting the whole mess at roughly the size of a school bus. This collection of madness is Gem Finnel, or as I call her, Thunder Thought. She's a ludicrously powerful dynakinetic with pinpoint control of electricity who's kept a continual lightning storm going over the archipelago she calls home for the entire time she's lived there. Her age is unknown as she routinely goes to rest and returns younger and healthier, meaning she's capable of a healing coma with memory retention on her own. Records of her go back to the founding of Vusa. She was one of the original colonists, meaning she's nearing 1,000 years old and her death count is much, much higher, but we have no hard numbers. There is at minimum nearly 10,000 dead at her hands. A low whistle sounds through the room. Yeah, anyways, I won't go into too much detail as you all need a good night's sleep sometime between now and when we kill them. These two, however, are very high priority as they are the local boogie women and massive threats if they take the initiative and move on us first. Is it really that bad? The Hat asks, and Franklin nods. Both of these lunatics routinely post their depraved games into the local information network, making new accounts and showing their homemade snuff porn to everyone. To make it worse, is that both of them are in competition with each other and are trying to one-up the other for sadism. To make things worse again, a large group or even ship will be detected. It can at most be me and 2 others all in stealth. I need a doctor and a sniper. The sniper is easily understood, but why the doctor? Do you think they have hostages? Pukey asks. It's almost guaranteed, though I think the sniper needs further clarity. These women are bulletproof with their axiom abilities, but I've recently mastered a technique that will let me tear down that defense and shut down all axiom around me for a short time. When I do that, I'll be glowing brightly as I'm basically hogging all the axiom to myself. When that happens, our sniper takes the shot and they die. What about Thunder Thought? Multiple heads and torsos mean there's no real vulnerable area, unless the big conjoined part is? J3 asks. It might be. She's the tricky one either way. Remember, when I start glowing take the shot, it shouldn't be hard as they'll likely be on the ground and choking for breath. Sounds like a plan. J3, you're the sniper. Bring a pop gun for the bigger girl and standard entertainment for the smaller one. Pukey orders and receives a salute from the soldier in question. Dr. Greywind will be with you too. She's got a good head for emergencies and triage, Agenda says, and Franklin nods before walking back to his seat. All right. After the crime families and the witches, our next highest priorities are the slaver compounds, sky raiders, boat gangs, and air bikers. The urgency is roughly the same, and the heavy lifting will be done by the mech troops and security, but each squadron needs a commander to lead the assault. The raiders and slavers, I understand. But why are the boat gangs and air bikes in the same importance bracket? Pukey asks, and Miles nods. The air bikers are possible recruits. They seem to be mostly thrill-seekers and disaffected youth for the most part. On the other hand, the boat gangs have stolen the fishing ships of numerous coastal villages and as a result are starving out a lot of people. We get those back, and we not only knock out two groups of belligerents, but we stabilize the world even further. So we've got our plans for the primary targets. We need to work out our secondary ones. What about tertiary? Pukey asks. After we deal with our primary and secondary targets, we go after the kidnappers, organ harvesters, serial killer, and the monsters in the old mine. The rest are strictly small time and will be wrapped up by us with whatever new recruits we get as a test of loyalty and a way to gauge their skills. Any questions? Miles finishes and there's some looking around. I've got one. You promised us reimbursement on expenses and reasonable salvage. What constitutes reasonable? Tang asks, and Captain Lilpaw clears her throat. Whatever you can carry away that won't be seriously missed. You find some priceless antiques, then this trip is more than worth it. The only thing I ask is you let us go through it to see if there's something we need to keep. We'll make an offer for it if there is such a thing, and no prying things up. We don't fully understand the infrastructure of the planet yet, so there's no telling what might set what off. If you want my professional advice as a pirate and looter, go for trade bars first, jewelry second, expensive weapons and cars third, art fourth, expensive dresses fifth, and pick up whatever credit discs or shiny things that catch your eyes and fit in the pocket after that. That's how you loot properly. And we can take all of that? Pukey asks in shock. Not all of it, but first pick. You get the prime cuts. That is what we're paying you. Make sense? Miles asks. Perfect sense. And if it's not enough, you'll owe us a favor. Pukey says directly, and Miles nods in response before glancing at Agenda. She nods as well. The deal is good and all three nod. It's not official, nothing this far from true civilization is, but it is binding between the three. Fair. Now let's get to some scheming. Agenda, Mari. How many exactly of the Scorchin and Lean have we turned to our side? Miles begins, and the whole room goes from attentive audience to active participation.